Hunt by Jalen Alexander. You must really want him gone, a young man replied. He wore a gray tank top and blue jeans. He was toned and wore a bald fade. But his posture was laid back, his eyes cut through the air. The man he was talking to was in his late 40s and had a lame leg. He wore a weariness that came from more than just age, and whatever it was had him unkempt. The two were in a secluded room, desolate of color. Only thing filling it was a table and 2 chairs. Most definitely, the older man answered. 30 million. Alright, so how many failed attempts have there been? The young man asked callously. The older man's mood grew grim, reflecting on this, clasping his hands together. 23. The young man stood silent for a moment. The job is as good as done. He trudged through thick jungle foliage. On himself was a knife on his lower back, a belt full of essentials, and climbing gear on his hip. On the long trudge, he kept an eye out for the inhabitants of the jungle. Scorpions, spiders, poisonous insects, and larger wildlife. Though he noticed the jungle was eerily quiet. The only signs of life was the plant life and bugs. He then stopped, noticing a track, a footprint. He knelt down, scanning the footprint with his eyes. Military-issued boots. Size 11. The young man stated under his breath. Approximately 180 pounds. The young man searched through the vegetation and found more tracks. He stood back up and followed them, though he slowed his trudge and moved more methodically, drawing his knife. All the sounds of the jungle seemed to grow louder. Whipping wind, rustling leaves, bugs moving against the foliage. After several steps, the young man noticed something off. After some inspection, he uncovered a series of wires. Trip wires, cutting wire. He then debated his next steps in his mind. He could purposefully trip the wires, see what fate had befallen those who failed this job previously. He could continue on, ignoring the trip wires, but cutting the cutting wires. In the end, he decided to avoid all the wires. These were elaborately placed. I must be close. After half a mile of these wires, the young man saw ruins. He slowly stepped toward it, ready for whatever came next, constantly shifting his eyes to see everything. From the leaf 1¼ inch from his right foot, to the line of weaver ants a foot from his left foot. After a series of steps, he made it to the mouth of the ruins. While daylight peered in, the hall was still dark. The young man went into his belt and withdrew night vision goggles before continuing. He stepped as carefully as he did before. After a distance without any sort of trap, he grew even more suspicious. Suddenly, floodlights filled the corridor, blinding him. He snatched off his goggles and whipped out his knife. Echoing laughter then filled the corridor, seemingly coming from everywhere. Another fly flying into the spider's trap, the voice announced. Will this fly survive, or will his neck go snap? The lights then turned off and softer lights took its place. Only time will tell. The young man groaned a response, continuing down the corridor. After realizing there wouldn't be any more traps, he sheathed his knife and eased a step, using his energy for preparation. He eventually came across the main room, well lit. He then slowed his step, proceeded with caution. Once in the room, he saw a muscular man in camouflage cargo pants and a tank top. Welcome, boy. You did well getting past my traps, better than the others, the military man greeted. The young man grimaced. Dishonorably discharged. 23 confirmed kills. 3 commanding officers killed. 26 civilians killed. The young man listed. And you have the nerve to keep going? The military man raised an eyebrow and cocked his head. Children who have barely lived have no right nor ground to be disrespectful, the military man snarled. The young man clenched his teeth. I see your old mind is cracked. No, shattered. The young man then drew his knife. Your time is over. The military man blankly stared for a few seconds before going back to laughter. Adorable. You think you can replace me? The military man then pulled out a garrote and a bloodthirsty look crossed his eyes. I will live forever. The young man then became filled with determination. He darted toward his opponent, holding nothing back. The military man clicked the button on his garrote and whipped it around, revealing its deceptively long range. The young man's eyes quickly flared before ducking. He used the momentum to roll and throw a knife at the man's shin. The knife plinked off the man's shin. Of course, the man muttered, still in motion. He then continued his stride and collided against his opponent's frame, causing a clash. What makes you think you can stop me? The military man questioned menacingly. The young man then smirked. Because I'm better. The two then squared off, deflecting, blocking, and countering each other's moves. The military man trying to get his wire around the young man's throat, while the young man was trying to cut him with his combat knife. The two were matching each other's moves so well the fight looked like it could go on forever. All throughout this fatal exchange, the military man wore a psychotic smile. When I first found this garrote, it felt like fate. The military man started. The young man raised an eyebrow, his focus still in the fight. The feel of the handles, the texture of the cord. Hell, we even share the same name, Garrett continued. Disgust bubbled in the young man's stomach, and he took a swing at Garrett's neck. Garrett's eyes flared in excitement and dodged the swing, only to be hit by the young man's elbow. The blow knocked Garrett down, and the young man pounced, aiming to stab Garrett in the eye. Garrett cackled. Oh, an eye for an eye, huh, Barry? Barrett clenched his teeth and pulled his weight into the knife, leaning in. The two struggled, yet Garrett still had the twisted smile on his face. Your father taught you well. Barrett's eyes filled with wrath, while Garrett's then seemed to gleam. Too bad you didn't learn enough. He then twisted Barrett's wrist, using his weight against him, flipping their positions. Garrett now had the knife at Barrett's throat, while still in Barrett's hands. Barrett thought to use the same move on Garrett, but Garrett used his garrote to bind his own wrists from twisting. All Barrett could do was struggle against the weight of his opponent, in the awkward position his arms are twisted into. He then stared into the eyes of the monster above him. Though all he could see was twisted darkness that threatened to devour him whole. He then thought to himself, is this what my father saw? The question stirred something in him, riling him up more and more. He then said something under his breath. What was that? Garrett questioned, enjoying his position over Barrett. However, a gleam washed over Barrett's eyes, and he seemed to be the winner without any change in position. I said, surprise. Barrett taunted, smiling ear to ear. He quickly tilted his head, angling the end of the knife at Barrett's face. He then pressed the button on the handle of the knife that caused a small explosion at the end of it. Garrett yelled in pain, gunpowder on his face and in his eyes. Barrett threw him off, wincing at the nick in his neck and the burn on one side of his head. Before Garrett could recover any sense, Barrett quickly pounced once more, this time successfully burying the knife. Hello. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and if you did, check out the link below to check out more of my stories. Till next time, take care.